All right.
Thanks, Meg.
Okay, thank you. All right, approval of the minutes on August 26th and September 9th.
Yeah, we'll table the 9th.
And we can do the 26th.
Okay. Make a motion to accept the minutes from August 26th.
I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And we'll be tabling the September 9th select board meeting.
Yeah.
Could we add Kevin's report and the report I did to those meetings? It's just a little more clear on the bullet points. Sure. Okay, thank you.
You have.
Well,
Send them to me. Send them to me.
I'd like to see those minutes before I just add them arbitrarily to them.
Well, the other piece that I'm really struggling with is the minutes are not meant to be a transcript of what happened.
Or stored.
So that really Kevin Cook addressed several issues he had with the budget, maybe including reserve funds and blah, 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 to really be enough. The recordings are posted. So it's, and not, I mean, I want people to have a faithful account of what happened, but it's also seriously impractical to have 25 pages in minutes or 10 for each meeting.
Yeah, we don't want to get to the point of manuscripting this, you know.
But yes,
because the recordings are so hard to hear, the presentations.
sure, there's no problem with that. Yeah,
they're attached to the file copy anyway, right? It goes in the file cabinet.
what is?
The presentation that Kevin did, that it passed out, is with the actual minutes that you keep in your.
I think there's still minutes there, but I don't know if there's a requirement to do so.
Yeah.
So you know what, I'm not trying to fail all
That's
the
fine.
people.
You know what? This is the point. Our minutes are basically, it's a generalization of the conversations that are held, not a dictation like a court procedure. It is just a generalization, and it just basically says, Joe had an opinion and spoke upon this, not a detail. He elaborately talked about some issue of pollution in the lake, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, that isn't what minutes are for.
I'm not talking about that. What Kevin passed out should be put with the minutes that are kept on file in the town office.
That is your opinion. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, my last point, transparency, you really get more transparency.
You know what? There's a ton of transparency. You want to look at our books?
Okay.
You know, Kevin.
Thanks. Yeah, we can look and make sure those are down there. Kevin's presentation.
So to make it easier in the future, if you have something to present in a meeting that you would like included word for word in the minutes, send it to me electronically. Ahead of the meeting. That would be fabulous. I really appreciate it.
And so we could look at it before we arbitrarily just put it in. Thank you. I'm not going to get a discussion argument with you. If you want to do that, get the hell out of our meeting.
That's all right.
Okay? Because I've had enough of this. This is really getting out of control with you.
Okay.
All right, let's
so
move
make
on
the
to the
motion.
emergency coordinator's report.
Okay. Last week was the Vermont Emergency Management yearly conference, and our hazard mitigation plan was partially presented in there as something that was really good. So we got some kudos from the state, oddly enough.
Yeah, good, Bob. Thank you.
And then the RPCs will no longer working with us on doing the LEMPs. That's going to be done by the regional coordinators now.
Oh,
So it's moving up to the states. I'm not sure what's going on there with the RCPs. Our local coordinator is Harry Shopman. There was a local emergency management capacity survey put out by FEMA, NEMA, and a couple of colleges that I completed and turned back in. Once again, it was aimed at larger towns. They said, if your budget's $100,000, and I said, I'm the only person, and I'm a volunteer, So, it's like, I don't think I have $100,000 budget, so, for emergency management, so, but once again, it's not really aimed at us, but I have to fill them out or they get all upset. And then the local FEMA presence here ended on September 19th. They will still be around if you able to contact them if it's necessary, but it won't be as quick of an action as it was. And then the deadline for submitting to FEMA and the Small Business Association for individuals, it was posted in Front Porch Forum, and that deadline is coming up within 30 days. If you haven't submitted by then, we'll close it out. Okay. And that's it for me.
And we have nothing from FEMA from us at all, right?
Bob, so they came by, I don't know if they came by anybody else's house. So FEMA was driving around 2 weekends ago?
Yeah.
Anyway, they've got a couple offices set up, I think one in Bristol, but you can call them and go in person if you have any questions. So they're definitely available, and they're in from Oklahoma too, so.
There's one at the Heinsberg Town Hall too.
Heinsberg.
Big flags out front saying.
Okay. Yeah, super helpful though. If you need anything.
All right, let us move on to the Virginia's Water District vacancy.
Yeah, thanks,
Yes.
Kathy.
Yep,
May you speak up a little?
I'm sorry, Kathy Kennett's resume is in the folder, and she is the only one that has expressed interest in the position.
okay. We will give it a couple more weeks and see. Could you put another shout on that for me? I would appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, the conservation easement for Bosserveld and Pease Road and Arnold Bay Road.
So take a look, it's numbered in your folder as well. The Borstveld filled in a small portion of wetlands and has been cited by the EPA or the DNC or the ANR, but the person who wrote that email is looking for someone who is willing to hold the conservation easement, which would mean managing or monitoring their compliance with recreating the wetland that they did. No bigger organizations like, the Audubon Society or the Vermont Land Trust or any of those people are interested because it's 10 acres, not worth their time. So this was her Hail Mary, would the town hold it? She maintains that there's not much monitoring to be done, and if someone were to discover a violation, it could be brought up to the Department of Environmental Conservation or ANR or whomever. And so I told her I'd put it in front of the select board.
Thank you. I have no idea on that. I think the idea would be just to call them and ask them what's this involved and how much,
Are you talking to us, Howard, or yourself?
I'm talking to us, yes?
Okay, I can't hear you if you're.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
Please speak up.
Okay, thank you. I will call them and find out what's involved with it. And
Yeah.
see what we have to do, or if we have to.
Yeah, I just saw the email, so that's the first I'm kind of digesting it.
I just don't want to be given saddled something for 20 years, and that's something we have to do, or addition or something, and what's involved with it. I don't know if Klucher could do it, or how that would work.
Yeah.
So I will take a look at it.
So hopefully we hear from them before next meeting. We can touch upon it if we need to.
Yeah, I think a phone call is all we can do.
Yeah, okay.
Will there be more information about that? I mean, the person that would take that on, they wouldn't own the land, they would just
I have-
administer the
It's
contract?
not a person, you have to have an organization, is my understanding.
Oh, it has to
Some
be an organization.
organization has to, some entity has to take that easement, or they can't, or the Board of Health cannot comply to mitigate the citation. If no one will take that easement to watch that little piece of it. I don't know that it can be an individual, but it was not my impression that it could.
I guess we need more information in calling them.
Or you could form an organization to take it on, because that would actually be an opportunity for the town, because Vermont is #1 in the nation for conserved lands. So, I mean, that would be something that would be good PR, actually.
Mhm.
That's an idea.
Yes, it is.
Sure.
All right, paying July flood bills, emergency fund and project fund.
Okay, so the emergency or rainy day fund was established by vote at the March 3rd, 2015, annual meeting for the town of Hampton. And only says, shall the voters establish a reserve fund in the amount not to exceed 7% of the general budget and budget appropriations to cover unanticipated revenue shortfalls and to pay non-recurring and unanticipated general and highway and other appropriated fund expenses in accordance with 24 VSA 2804A. So 24 VSA 2804 says that an annual or special meeting duly warned, the municipality may establish a reserve fund to be under the control and direction of the legislative branch of the municipality. That would be the select board. The reserve fund shall be kept in a separate account and invested as other public funds, and may be expended for such purposes for which established or when authorized by a majority of the voters. So if you wanted to use it for something it was not established for, you would need a voter approval. So that's my interpretation or the information I have on that reserve fund. I attended a budgeting webinar conducted by VLCT last week, where they said only by charter can something be demanded to be done by vote. So with that, we really need to decide how to pay the so far $63,282 in bills. They have been paid. However, at this moment, there's $261,500 in both accounts, which to Melissa Dayton's issue, right, clearly we don't have our reserve funds in our accounts because that would be $350,000, give or take. We haven't collected taxes for this year yet, none of them. This often puts us into a tax anticipation note thing. Situation where we borrow in anticipation of taxes.
We do that regularly.
Right, it's been done regularly. I did the cash flow for this fiscal year back in June and determined we would have enough money to get us to November 1st without needing to borrow. We may still have enough money. However, there's $114,635 worth of paving bills that have not been paid yet and need to be paid in the next month. And I believe 5,000 roughly, and I think it's 3462 is flood related. I believe the rest of it is the regular Pease Road paving. So in terms of budget at that point, I did speak to Community Bank today. We can get a tax anticipation note at any time, so I can turn that around this week. We do a cash flow analysis again, which will determine how much we can borrow, and then they need 3 years of audit. That's no problem. She also talked about a current expense note, which could be used to cover the flood expenses theoretically until FEMA reimburses us. However, she's going to give me more information about whether that needs to be paid back within a year of getting it or within the same fiscal year it's received. So even if we got that current expense note is not clear yet, is FEMA going to reimburse us for now and next June, if at all? So that borrowing against that may or may not be useful. So I'll have more information about that going forward.
So under your expertise, what do you think our best proposal or movement should be on this?
I just wanted to make sure the select board was aware after we paid today's AP, which is $73,791.88, which includes $54,851 for the new truck, which will be, it was delivered today. The payment will be made tomorrow if the select board approves the AP warrant. That leaves $187,700 in funds, cash funds for the town that can be used to pay payroll and accounts payable between now and November 1st. Cash flow, when I figure that out tomorrow, will tell us.
So you want to wait till our next meeting to really make a decision? Is that what you're
Yes, I
saying?
think that'll be sufficient.
Okay, why don't we do that then? Is that all right with you? Zach?
Yeah, if we've got an action plan to look at a couple avenues, then that'll work.
Okay, great. Thank you for looking into that, Maggie. I know that we've done that note for a long time. Because we do get that
Yeah, there's a gap.
huge gap.
All right, replacing contracted lister. Do we have some interest?
We
Did
do.
Will come in?
Yeah, Howard's been.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm gonna call him and have that conversation, and I'll have him come in and see you and see what his requirements are for that.
Okay.
And then he seemed very positive on doing that, so that would be a huge help for us.
You haven't talked to him yet? Because I saw the email, just expressed interest.
Yeah, I did. I talked to him a little bit about it, and I said, really give a hard thought on that. And he goes, there isn't a ton of work, but it would be ideal for you, And
Okay.
and he goes, so he got back to me and he said, yes, he's interested in the lister's position, and being that he's also an appraiser, it would be pretty much an ideal thing for us to cover that position altogether, and it wouldn't be somebody's worst best guess, you would have somebody who has some form of expertise on this. Okay, moving on to Vermont Public Records Act policy. I am working with our friends at VLCT to get one, and I should have it by the next meeting of exactly what the public acts record and how to fill it out and all the forms that are needed to do that to be under the VPR. So that's what we're doing on that. Let us reschedule our meeting for our select board meeting. Do we need to move it off of Indigenous Peoples' Day?
14th.
Yes. It should probably, you two should see what's the best days for you two.
I could do later that week.
What do you think, Maggie?
Because we've got the 28th, right?
I'd say Teresa seems to be busy on Tuesdays. How about we make it for Wednesday, the 16th? And if we need to change that, the requirement by law is that the agenda is posted, warned and posted 48 hours in advance, so we can get to Teresa and figure that out between now and then. I don't know how you would set a different date if there's no meeting between now and then. But I think it's just a special meeting and get people warned as such.
Yeah, okay.
So what day are we talking, October?
16th,
Which is a Wednesday.
Okay.
do 5:30. All right, so the next meeting, 16th, 5:30.
Is it one?
Oh, what's that?
I think that one before that.
No,
that'll
May
be,
one falls the first Monday, like that first week, Mondays or Tuesdays, the first or something. I have a calendar right in front of me.
yeah, so the
first
second
is
Tuesday is
Tuesday,
the
so yeah,
14th.
the 7th is actually the first.
Okay, great. Thank you for doing that.
5:30.
All right, communications.
Just you have a piece of paper in at the back, I think it's in color, Town Fair, VLCT Town Fair, which is an educational one day. There's some
Yep.
very good topics, I think, this year, so you might want to consider if you have the time.
Okay, great,
And
thank
I
you.
might consider it, if there's still budget and education fund that I'm sending.
Yeah, it's always good to go to those things for you. Other than that, we are getting very close to finalizing and coming up with an agreement with VARS. VARS is basically acquiesced to the idea that the 5 towns will set up a program and monitor their activity. We haven't decided how often we're going to meet and what's involved with that, but it's basically, we've kind of talked to the idea of basically having one town take over the financial monies of ours, and then we would then distribute the money from their clerk to them.
Rotate or just stick with one town?
Probably stick with one town that can handle such activity, or will compensate that town for their actions.
Yeah.
But it's just,
How would it play out too? Are you kind of calculate per size per town? Like it's kind of weighted, or is it just a general?
we weighted about the amount of people in your community. So Virgins pays the highest amount, then Ferrisburg, then Addison, and then us, then Waltham. We're somewhere in the $50,000 range. If that is calculated correctly, that would give that every household in Penn would be paying the premium rate that they could decide that they wanted to pay with bars now. There's no rate, or you can not get a bill and pay like $110. But this would then basically get an ambulance there with probably 7 people full-time, and getting a BLSI ambulance, meaning they can do IVs and also defibrillate, which is very good, and that would be available 24/7. But there's a lot of things to hammer out with them, work schedules, hiring, the whole process. But the person at bars would be an operation coordinator, where they would just say, this is the issues that we have, and this has all never been finalized, but meet quarterly with the 5 towns, and each town would appoint one person to be on the board, and sit there and say, this is our budget, this is the items. They would have to come up with a budget. They would have to show us everything, just like if it was the road crew or the water department in some town, they would have to produce all those things, and then they would go through us for expenditures and items. And we would have 5-year plans on purchasing vehicles and additional remodeling or whatever goes on with that, things that they don't actually do.
Yeah.
They're really excited about getting out of the money thing, because it's so difficult for them to deal with the money, and it's.
The ambulance, right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're excited to take that away from
Have
them.
a different approach. Yeah, Kathy.
Yes.
I just get confused. We do $50,000 to the fire department, correct? And you're talking another $50,000 to the rescue squad?
The fire trucks, the fire department comes into Penn about 9 to 10 times a year.
Yeah, I get that. I'm
The
just
ambulance-
confused that when you talk 50,000, if you're talking fire department or you're talking rescue squad.
Well, I was talking the ambulance, because the fire department is a whole different animal here.
Well, I just wanted to be clear.
And
What do we currently pay?
$10,000.
So we're gonna go $40,000 more a year.
Yes.
We're already overspending our budget.
John, do you not want an ambulance to show up to your house?
So just.
I'm just
I'm
pointing
just
out the
saying.
obvious, we want everything, can we afford
That's the debate.
Well, that's your question. If you have a loved one on the ground, did you say, well, I saved $20 off my tax bill? I'm sorry, you're dead.
That's quite a
That's, well,
range in
really,
expenditure.
is that it?
Hold on.
All I can say is I had a neighbor that had to wait 50 minutes for an ambulance.
However, we're talking expenses, and it's our right to talk expenses.
Go ahead.
We're proposing to cut the budget in other areas by shelling out an additional 40 that's not in the budget. That's your job. Yes.
Ooh, okay, thanks.
Yes.
Tell me my
You've
job.
gotta be financially
John, that's enough. Just
Hold on.
respect in here. You're not, you know what?
We've
I'm
already
motion, I'm
paid
done.
FY 25, and we'll have an opportunity to vote on the budget for FY 26. So then adjourn the meeting, please.
Nope. Don't piss up a rope, dickhead.
Well, listen,
You know what?
Howard, this is my first meeting here, this should be your last. No, Excellent, stay away. Please. Howard Hall is done. Yes. He's done. Yes. Good riddance.
We no longer have a
You
quorum.
can be next.
So hold on. Maggie, so we no longer quorum, however, is it, just a minute, is there anything we can talk about right now? Just not with anyone on, okay,
Well, I mean,
just like cover
yeah,
basics.
Unfortunately, now, bills aren't getting paid. So, yeah, I don't
Okay.
think it's, you cannot conduct any select board business without a quorum present. Is the answer. So.
Yeah, so I mean, we could do public comment, communications. You can, I mean, it won't be public, we can talk. Yeah, I mean, we can talk. Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Okay, create a budget committee in advance of meetings this fall.
For the fall.
And staff people that have budget experience, finance experience.
Yeah.
You guys said you'd welcome the help.
Yeah. No, I think Kevin's gonna come for sure, right, Kevin?
I just think that.
Yeah.
I know this isn't an official request.
No.
Meeting, but you as a select board, I really encourage you to do that.
So I'm not taking minutes, and therefore I presume I'm excused.
Yeah.
And then I can,
Yeah.
well, read that and have a nice day.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a valid, and we talked about that. I think Kevin would help if Melissa wants to do anything too. It'd be helpful for sure. Cause it's a long night when Teresa and whoever comes in here and we crunch numbers and kind of go where we can piece some stuff together and go through it. But it'd be helpful for sure. Yeah, Teresa brought dinner last year a couple times. A couple late nights. Hopefully it won't be as late, but you know, if we have some things that are pressing, I mean, if we need to cut a lot, then yeah, be helpful. Yeah.
So Zach,
Yeah.
can I say something?
I mean, of course, yeah. It's all open now, so.
I think Howard should resign. I honestly, I echo what Ben just said. His comments to this group and his comments to John and Kevin are completely inappropriate and disrespectful of a public servant. He has no business being a public servant. If he is going to be in these meetings and call people names and swear at them and basically tell us he's sick of all of us. Well, you know what? We're sick of Howard and he needs to resign.
Yeah, that's a tough scenario, and again, that's up to him, and I'll talk to him
Yeah,
for sure.
so I think we should really encourage him.
I don't disagree. I mean, look, it's tough. It's tough. Yeah. So.
Well, thank you, Zach.
I was gonna say, Kathy, I didn't mean to brush that over, because I saw your resume and last time, and I don't know, like, I'd love to have.
I don't know what Howard's problem is, probably because he doesn't like me.
I
Well,
can't
I
speak.
mean, this is coming on to 3 months that Pam hasn't had
Water representation.
a representative.
Yeah.
And
Well, I'd like to give you, I mean, at least like,
I
I
don't
was
see
hoping-
what his problem is.
So did you get dismissed?
no.
No, I sent the resume.
And what happened?
Howard just said they want to advertise it some more.
Which I
You
don't,
know, they come in here and say, oh, we're looking for volunteers.
yeah.
to do it.
I mean, I'm
Are you
happy,
handicapped or something?
I'm happy to appoint you. Kathy, if I could, I'd have
I
you
just
appoint
want
you
to go
tonight.
over to his
Yeah.
board until March.
It'd be nice to have, yeah,
I get it, but
yeah.
now the bills aren't gonna get paid because somebody had to pay from.
Yeah, he needs to leave because he can't handle the pressure and he can't do his job.
Well, for the, yeah, I mean, to let you know all, I mean, I do after this, I'll talk to Teresa, and if we can do something special, at least get bills paid, I'd like to do that, because there's people I don't wanna not pay and move things.
The minutes need to reflect
Yes.
his actions, as chairman.
It'll be in there,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I suggest you and Teresa, a real hard question.
Yeah,
gonna be-
it's not leaving that
Zach, it's gonna
hanging.
be-
Of course, Kevin, of course I'm gonna talk.
It's,
Yeah, yeah.
and it just seems like there's one person making all the decisions for the town of Canton. And if he doesn't agree with it, then
He throws a tantrum.
Sharon.
There's too much control residing with one person.
I just wanted to say that I totally echo what Wendy just said.
Mhm.
It's what I was gonna bring up later in the public comment section.
Mhm.
He doesn't seem to understand what the role of a public servant is, and that the select board is accountable to we, the voters.
Mhm.
And he doesn't seem to understand that. This spending and budget stuff is just out of control. Doesn't seem to understand that, people live, try to live within their means.
Yeah.
Most of them, but he doesn't seem to understand what that means by keeping it, like, he just wants to spend.
Yeah.
But in the last two Addison articles, Addison Independent articles, he had described Melissa as a resident.